Hello and welcome, I'm Dante and today we have some more Anthem updates. Apologies if my voice is a little off today as I'm a little bit sick, but I really wanted to make this video. As we move ever closer to the demo and eventual release next month, we are getting a truckload of information almost every day. So rather than let them all build up for this week in Anthem, I'm going to try and tackle some throughout the week. Starting off with what is surprisingly the first official release of Anthem merchandise. In times where the IPs are almost built entirely off their marketing strategy and merchandising, BioWare has left these releases until relatively late in the process. The first wave of these, though there will be more in the next few weeks, is by Numskull, who I'll make sure to link below if you'd like to pick any of these up. They've got hats, still mugs, a keychain, and of course a t-shirt. I have no opinion on the quality or whether you should buy any of this, but it's there if you want to show your support for BioWare and Anthem. Though I will say I kind of like the rubber prints as opposed to the traditional colour prints. What I like the most is the new logo that comes with it. Since the announcement we've had the title logo of 3 triangles, but now we have a very nice take on this, representing all the launch Javelins. The bright orange theme they've got for this is really clean looking, so I'm hoping we get to see some more official art in this style. Next I've got something I genuinely wouldn't normally cover, but it's one of the first times I've seen Anthem covered in the mainstream by someone who at least has a half decent understanding of what Anthem is. This article, written by Paul Tassi over on Forbes, goes into their current opinions on Anthem, having played in the alpha, though obviously still under NDA, and the recent drop in embargo for some content creators. The reason I point out this article in particular, over some of the others coming out, is because it's the first time I've seen Anthem covered in the mainstream and not been called a Destiny clone. And to point out, it plays very differently. This is something that I personally find pretty frustrating, not just because I think Destiny is mostly wasted potential, but they are fundamentally different games. If Anthem starts getting more coverage like this, it can only be good. BioWare has taken a lot of care to build their new IP, its systems, gameplay loops, progression, and to keep a consistent internal story supported by its own lore. All features Destiny has struggled with. So the more we can dispel this misconception, the better. And it won't take long until we get to see if BioWare's efforts have paid off, when Anthem drops in just a few weeks. So back onto the more usual updates, as we turn to Twitter. We've had some important clarifications in the last couple of days, along with one rather large clarification that I missed over the holidays. Though to be fair, it stems from a comment on Discord rather than making it onto Twitter. We're all looking forward to the 2 upcoming demos and trying out the Javelins of Anthem as a whole before launch, either to decide on what Javelins we want to main at launch, or if we want to pick up the game at all. Though you do have access to all of the Javelins in the demos, you can't actually play all 4 of them. Rather, you get to choose from 2 of the Javelins over the course of the 3 days. The current theory on this is tied to the level unlocks for the Javelins, which are 2, 8, 16 and 24. With the demo taking place between level 10 and 15, going by this unlock path would get 2 in the full game, so have 2 in the demo. This is really disappointing for me, as I thought from the marketing we'd be getting access to all of them. If you're able to play both of the demos, it's less of an issue, but for anyone waiting for the free version, this could have been communicated clearer. I hope they update their site officially, or release a demo content guide in the next couple of weeks to really clear up this situation. Next up, something a bit more positive. I've not really been able to talk about how the scaling for melee and ultimates work so far, but we got some official clarification about how they work. The concern until now is that by not being gear slots like other weapons, eventually they will fall behind, especially once you have legendary gear. Fortunately, they do keep gaining power in parallel to your gear score increases. This is something they showed off in their items and loadout stream. Essentially, each gear has its own level that stacks up, giving you an average gear level. Primarily, this is an indicator of what content you'd be capable of clearing, but it has the additional purpose of increasing your overall power, increasing your melee damage and ultimates, on top of any other bonuses the gear itself will provide. Seems minor, but it will become more important as we start to theorycraft in-game builds. Along the same vein, we had an additional confirmation related to ultimates. You'll have noticed in the Interceptor stream that it is invulnerable during its ult, which I, among with others, assumed was the benefit of the Assassin Blade, but this is actually a universal mechanic. All Javelins will be immune to damage while their ult is active, which I can already tell will be abused to tank and bypass mechanics, especially when it comes to fighting the most challenging bosses during strongholds. It also lowers the tactical value of the Interceptor to me, but without playing the endgame, no one can make any serious calls on how viable any Javelin will be right now. One last thing I wanted to cover today is in relation to loot, and a topic I've not seen discussed. If loot drops, and you miss it for whatever reason, do you actually miss it, or does it get added to the end screen once you complete the mission? Well, no. If you don't pick up the loot, you lose it. Well, most of the time. This applies to all loot with 2 exceptions. If you do miss a pickup for whatever reason, you will lose it and you won't even have known you've missed it, which is probably for the best. However, if it's a high-end drop, which just means it's either masterwork, quality or legendary, it will automatically be added to your end screen. So you shouldn't fear missing out on any of your best in-slot loot, or just high-end gear in general. This is a pretty reasonable stance to me. Picking up loot is one of the best parts of any loot game. That's why they're loot games, though you don't really get to see what you've picked up until the end. So I can half understand the argument for looking at item in missions, but if you've ever played a looter game at the top end, that's not what happens. You complete your farming route, rift, whatever it may be, identify them, and then pray to RNGesus. It will make you better at farming gear in the long run, I promise you. That's it for today's update. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to leave a like, provide your thoughts and feedback about anything I've covered today in the comment section below. You can support the channel by subscribing and using the bell to be notified of future content as it goes live. And until next time, I've been Dante, thanks for watching.